Okay, Texas history scholars. The second location, number 2, is a battle, and that is the Battle of San Jacinto. San Jacinto, confusingly enough, is the last battle of the Texas Revolution, and it took place in April of 1836. I say confusingly enough because it's number 2, meaning that this map is only identifying locations. It's not putting things in chronological order. Number 3, for example, took place in 1832, and that's the Anahuac Turtle Bayou Resolution. So, in this blank, I'm going to put Anahuac Turtle Bayou. At the Turtle Bayou Anahuac port, there was some goods confiscated off of a ship, and William Barrett Travis got really angry about this. And so he was arrested, but once the dust settled, he apologized and admitted that he had overreacted, and the Mexican soldier that had arrested him was fired. And so they made peace with that conflict, and they said both parties apologized, not a big deal. But that was in 1832, way before the Revolution. So our next one is the Battle of Gonzales, which happens to be the first battle of the American Revolution, taking place in October of 1835. That's in the fall. The Treaty of Velasco, that's number 5. The Treaty of Velasco ends the war, and that happens in May of 1836. So October and then spring of the following year is when the war ends. A major event in between these two is the Alamo, and that happens at number 6. That's a battle. The Battle of the Alamo. Now, the Alamo is located in a city which is very significant, San Antonio. So, Battle of the Alamo, but the location is San Antonio. This happens for quite a while. It's not just one day. It happens from February 23rd to March 6th of 1836. And then during this siege is the signing of the Texas Declaration of Independence at Washington on the Brazos. That's what I was trying to think of, which is number 1. So that's happening pretty far away from each other. Number 7 is where the Goliad Massacre took place. Sometimes it's called a battle. You'll see it referred to as the Battle of Goliad, but really it's the Battle of Coleto Creek, where General Fannin was surrounded and then surrendered. He and his men were marched to Goliad, where they were shot. This happened in March of 1836. For the sake of review, I added number 8 and number 9. This body of water right here is called the Gulf of Mexico. And this country over here that Texas is in the process of breaking away from in 1836 is called Mexico. Man, I sure hope you already knew that. But if you didn't, now you do, so it's okay. Now what we need to do is create a timeline including the events from here and maybe some others, okay? So at this point, I'll pause the video if you're not caught up, but I am going to move on to the timeline. Our very first conflict is not a battle, but it's the Turtle Bayou Resolution that took place at Anahuac in 1832. Both parties apologized, admitted wrongdoing, and they moved on. In April of 1833, Stephen F. Austin goes to Mexico City. While he's in Mexico City, he sends a letter to Texas saying that they need to organize a state government. This letter is intercepted and he is jailed. So this block right here represents the time when Austin is jailed in Mexico City, and that's from April of 1833 to September of 1835. So that lasts quite a while, almost a little more than 2 years. Once he gets back, we have the first battle of the Texas Revolution, and that is the Battle of Gonzales, which happens in October of 1835. Then we have the winter. There's usually not fighting during the winter in older battles or older wars. Then in the spring, we have the Battle of the Alamo, which is really more like a siege, the surrounding of the mission to cut off supplies. Battle of the Alamo, and that represents this block of time right here from February 23rd to March 6th, 1836. During the Battle of the Alamo, Texas delegates meet at Washington on the Brazos, and they sign the Declaration of Texas Independence at a place called Washington on the Brazos. Ain't no way that you can write that entire thing, Washington on the Brazos, in this little square. So that's why it says WOTB, Washington on the Brazos. That took place on what we now identify as Texas Independence Day, which is March 2nd, 1836. Again, 1836. I see a theme here. The next major event is sometimes referred to as a battle, but mostly it's a massacre. It's the Goliad Massacre. And that happens on March 21st of 1836. After that, our next major occurrence, remember this thing means battle, is the Battle of, it's the very last battle, Battle of San Jacinto. Battle of San Jacinto, and that takes place April of 1836. Now, Santa Anna was captured during this battle. It was right after the battle. And then he is forced to surrender the next day. And he's forced to sign his surrender in the form of a treaty at the Treaty of Velasco in May of 1836. Is this the end of Texas independence, or is it the start of Texas independence? That is a good question, and it has to do with your perspective. Thank you for taking notes with me.